Are we on?
I think we're live.
Let's do this.
Hi, Jamie.
It's been a minute. I feel a little rusty.
I do too. What is that?
I think it's been a while.
We've gone 2-week periods before though, but today just feels.
I feel like did we go like 2 weeks and then some change because it's a Thursday?
I think it was 2 Thursdays ago that we last recorded.
Listen.
So on the dot. Episode 19.
Episode 19.
We can now drink in Canada.
Listen.
Which is great news. I'm going to Canada next week. So
I really hope the trend of you saying what we can do every episode just continues for all eternity.
There's only one. There's a couple more. There's 21, which will be a big one.
Yeah.
We decided we're bringing cocktails in here.
Right.
25, I think, is when you can rent a car without extra costs or whatever.
Yeah.
On your own. Beyond that, it's like, what are we talking? Like Medicare? Is that 50
right.
something?
Getting over the hill at some point.
There's a lot of milestones in life between like 13 and 21.
You're right.
But then beyond that, it's
I feel
a little
like
less
that should change.
We should have every 5 years or so, there's some sort of big celebration.
Like an over the hill of that decade.
Yeah.
Celebration.
We should introduce this to the world. How are you?
Gosh, I'm going to be honest with you.
Be honest, please.
I just got off the bus with about 60 8 and 9-year-olds. I am unwell, to be honest. I went on a field trip with Piper's class, and God bless these teachers who do this every day.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a field trip. There's a lot of excitement, but the volume and the energy, unbelievable.
Yeah. I could never be a teacher. Which is, you were a teacher, right?
And actually, so my daughter's in 3rd grade, and I actually used to love the concept of teaching 3rd grade. And usually I go and help in the class all the time, and it's usually pretty calm, but out in the wild.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
There's near my house, there's this like daycare, and I see these 2 ladies, and they'll be walking like 15 kids, and they're all on like a leash kind of thing.
Yep.
And they're walking like on the sidewalk, and that gives me so much anxiety. I'm like, I cannot imagine being responsible for that many little kids out in the world. Like at a school, it feels like one thing when you're feels a little more secure. You're in the classroom, or you're on the playground or whatever. But when you're out in public, where there's the craziness of the world,
so many variables,
that terrifies me.
Yeah. I used to work at a preschool, and we would have these strollers that were like super long and like double seated. So you could fit like 8 kids in one stroller thing. And I just have this memory of like taking them this is when we lived in North Carolina. I took them to a park, and there was this big lake. So I take them out to this like viewing deck, and I'm like showing them the water. And as we get up to the deck, up pops an alligator head in the water. And I just slowly back us up, turn it around, and off we go.
Here.
We're not going to stick around. North Carolina.
Are there alligators in North Carolina?
All over.
Really?
Yes. Am I saying it right? Alligator, or is it a crocodile?
They're 2 different things.
I know that.
You know what's funny? I actually had this conversation with Eric recently, because I didn't know the difference, and I still don't really know the difference, but it's something with the shape of their head.
Yeah.
I think it's
right.
different.
There is a difference, but I'm not recalling which one lives in North Carolina.
Yeah,
or if they both do.
Because I guess that's pretty close to Florida, and like the Everglades.
No, so North Carolina was actually pretty awful in terms of wildlife, because you got a merger of North and South.
Okay.
Wildlife.
Gotcha.
So, for instance, snakes, out of control out there. And all sorts of different kinds. And then we had like snapping turtles. Traffic would stop because turtles would be in the road.
That's crazy.
And they're not the fastest. So
that is one thing about Washington. This area, we don't really have many wildlife issues.
Chad, when we first moved here for years, he's like, there's no bugs. There's no bugs here. Like he was amazed.
Even weather-wise, like it's pretty mild. Like other parts of the country, there's the tornadoes and crazy weather. And the weather's not great right now, but it's also never like crazy here.
You know who does have nice weather?
California.
Yeah,
I want to know everything. I need to know the full play-by-play. So for everybody who doesn't know, Jamie was in Disneyland, the happiest place on earth.
Literally the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Like, and I had an amazing time.
Good.
Probably one of the best times we've ever had as a family. And here's the thing that I feel like people should know about myself and my husband. We are not amusement park people.
Okay.
Like, we don't claim to be like, this is where we want to go for every vacation.
Right.
However, there is something about taking our kids to Disney that changes that mentality. And we are like loving every second.
Disneyland, Disney parks are definitely in their own category of amusement parks.
Yeah.
There's all the rest. There's Hollywood Studios and Six Flags and our local Wild Waves. Those are all like in one area or one category. Disneyland is totally different. I mean, they are amusement parks, but it's just such a different experience.
Yeah. I just, it blew me away. I've said this before, but this trip especially, all the detail in all the rides. Everything.
Yeah.
Like we did one day at Disneyland and then one day at California Adventure. And like going to the Cars ride area.
Yeah.
I took a picture. It looks like we're going to Arizona. We're going to some canyon place. Like and I'm like having to remind myself, like, this is not real.
Yeah.
This is all make. And then you're going through rides and the detail in all the rides are just like, somebody's done this. Like somebody has come and they check on it and they make sure it's running well and all this stuff. But I felt like this trip was the first time all of us could all ride everything. So Piper was tall enough to go on every ride.
Cool.
Last time we went, we kind of fudged her height on a few rides. Like we just taught her to like raise her heels a little bit when she was standing against things. So this time we didn't have to do any lying, which was great.
I did that a lot as a kid because I've always been on the shorter side and I've always been kind of daredevil, especially with rides. I want to go on every ride always. And as a kid, I think we were at Knott's Berry Farm and they let me go on a ride. And then the next time I try to go on it again. And they wouldn't let me go on it the second time because there was somebody else different. And I'm like, I literally already went on it. And they're like, sorry, bud, you can't get on. And
you're like, where's your partner?
Yeah.
Go get him.
So then, I would do the same thing. I would like spike up my hair or try to wear like stay on my tiptoes or whatever.
Chad stuffed some socks in her heel for one, thinking she wasn't going to be tall enough. And then we got to the sign and she was totally fine. So for this trip, we had told Alice, our oldest, that we were going to go because she has a different way of needing to prepare and think about things coming up.
Gotcha.
And so
not a big surprise person.
Doesn't love a good surprise.
Okay. Just like her dad.
Whereas 100%.
Yeah.
Whereas Piper like lives for the surprise. Like has asked and begged us to pack a suitcase and surprise her after school on a vacation somewhere. So we surprised Piper.
Okay.
Allie was prepared and it was really cute because the last time we had gone, we went on the one that does the drop, not Tower of Terror. Used to be
Guardians of the
now it's
Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay. That terrified Alice the first time. And to the point where afterwards there was like kind of ruined the rest of the day because she was so bothered by it. And so coming up to this, we were like, two things. One, is she going to be okay doing it again? Two, what about the Incredicoaster?
Yeah.
The next step up of like an upside down roller coaster. And I could tell before we were going, she would like every once in a while just say things like, so like when you are upside down, what does it feel like? Like she's just trying to prepare herself mentally. And at one point, how is everybody going to feel if I don't do the Incredicoaster? I'm like, totally fine. It's going to be no big deal. So I knew this was like a fear that she was walking into of like, just like on the edge, not sure if we're going to do it. And she decides she's going to try the Incredicoaster. I sit next to her. If you're familiar with the ride, you start off and you're kind of like sitting there, almost feels like you're like laying down for a second and you're not moving at all. And you're kind of shielded. And she immediately is like, I can't see. She's like a little bit panic mode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's okay. And nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden it shoots you off and you're going. And I just hear the biggest belly laugh. She yells, "This is the best."
That's
like
awesome.
Just totally. So I honestly had like tears in my eyes because she was just had the best. And to watch your child like conquer a fear in the happiest place on earth. I mean, it was just amazing.
That's a good moment.
Yeah. And I just felt like the weather was great. We like to do like morning at the park, midday, take a break at a hotel, poolside, go back for the evening.
Cool.
So
you were staying close to the park.
We stayed. It was basically Ubered to the park every time we went.
Cool.
And I'm telling you what, it was like a $6 ride.
I tell you, Ubers in Washington, for whatever reason, are more expensive than anywhere else.
Honestly.
Everywhere else, they feel like reasonable, affordable. Totally. For whatever reason, our local Ubers are horrible. They like price gouge us in Washington. I don't know why.
Couldn't believe it. We had a little snafu confusion we did rent a car when we got there because we got there on Friday. What
airport you fly into?
We flew into LAX. Okay. And we didn't have park tickets for Friday. And we got there at like 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So Chad was like, what would be a fun surprise? Let's take Allie to Pepperdine University out in Malibu. Yeah. There's a show, Zoe 101. I don't know if you remember.
I drove by Pepperdine like a few weeks ago.
Well, we like to call it Zoe 101 University.
Love it.
And
so wait, does your daughters watch Zoe 101?
They
the
have.
original, or is there a
I think there was another movie or something that came out, Zoe 102, but they watched the series.
Okay,
like
cool. I watched it as well.
Yeah.
As a kid.
So they recently they've been watching it, and so we decided to get a car and go down to Malibu on Friday and go do that. Well, we rented the car, and here in Washington, it said it's going to be $135. So we were like, great, that's a steal for 4 days.
Yeah.
We get to California, and they decide to tell us about an out-of-state tax and these other fees and a $200 deposit. It was like a $500 car.
Yeah.
And it was not a nice anyway. So that was a little we started off the trip with a little bit of that was not what we wanted. And the bummer thing is we go down to Malibu, we get lunch, it's beautiful out. We go to Pepperdine. Girls are amazed. They're like, "Is that the scooter from episode 4?" It absolutely is.
Yeah, totally.
I'm totally like, yes. And then but then we leave Malibu, and now we're going back to Anaheim.
Yeah. So that's a drive.
I want to say it was a 5-hour drive.
No, it was
not. It was so long. It was so long.
I mean, even without traffic, that's a long. That's a lot of distance to cover.
5 might have been a lot. It was at least 4.
That's wild.
We were pretty bummed. Yeah. We were like, who decided that on Friday afternoon we would drive through all of this?
That's rough.
It was us. We did that to ourselves.
Did you keep yourselves entertained in the car? Did you?
Not really. We were trying to just not hurt each other's feelings.
Yeah. LA traffic's no joke.
Yeah. But then we get to the hotel. There's water. We stayed at Cambria, which is a little bit further from the park. So once we got there, they have a couple water slides. Okay. They do movies at night by the pool. Yeah. It was actually really sweet. And then the rooms have ours was a little suite. So there was a little living area and a little kitchenette, and then a bedroom with bunk beds, and then a king size bed. So in the mornings, Chad and I could go to the living room and have coffee and kind of
separation.
Yes, yeah. And then if the girls wanted to be in the living room at night watching a show, Chad and I could read. So it was great. I super comfy beds. They did what's that called? Continental breakfast.
Ooh.
The girls were in heaven. Day one, you're making Mickey Mouse waffles. Yeah. They've got all this stuff. Chad stole, 12 apples to put in our backpack to take into the park. He was like, we are taking advantage of this breakfast. By day 3, I was like, I can't have the same breakfast again. Please, can we just not?
Were there a lot of people at the hotel? Did everything feel busy or no?
Yes. So I will say, because I grew up in California, that's where Chad and I met. So he lived there for a while. We love visiting, but we often feel like wherever we're at does feel congested.
Yeah.
Even the last time we went to Santa Barbara, which is where we met and we loved it, I was like, there's just so many people everywhere. Yeah. So I've
been feeling that way more about here. It feels
like a thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
People are just coming out
just
after
commuting
COVID.
Wise, I'm always on 405 now. And so I'm just even this morning, I literally left our house at 5:30 this morning to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And there was traffic at 5:30 this morning. I'm like, where are all these people coming?
Seriously.
What's going on?
Why are we working remote?
Yeah.
Go home. No. So there were quite a few people, but I kind of don't know Disney any other way. Yeah. I've never gone and I'm like, whoa.
I think it's quiet. I feel like Disneyland's always busy, and then there's different levels of busyness.
Also, we pick the worst time. So we've gone on New Year's before.
I have to.
We did.
Don't recommend that.
This time we were in Anaheim, and there was some sort of, basically our Uber driver was like, oh, it's the biggest convention of the year this weekend. I'm like, yeah, naturally. So that was some music festival thing that they were doing
within Disney.
I don't know. I'm sure people went there, but it was at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Okay, gotcha.
And so there's a lot of people.
Can I go back real quick before I lose a thought?
Yeah.
So Pepperdine, you visited.
Yeah.
So in Zoe 101, it's a boarding school, correct? Mm. And Chad went to a boarding school.
Correct.
Have your daughters just expressed desire to go to a boarding school?
It's tricky.
That show definitely romanticizes going to a boarding school.
Right. So it's tricky because Chad will often say, because the boarding school he went to in South Africa has a female version. Because this was all boys. And so my nieces have gone there. My sister-in-law went there. So Chad's like, you guys could do a semester abroad or a year abroad and go to that school.
Yeah.
And, every once in a while there's interest in that.
Especially when they watch Zoe 101.
I know. I think more so it's the college experience. We're not too far from that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
That's basically, it's kind of the same.
That's how I feel.
Gist of things.
Right. I can't tell you that I've watched a full episode of Zoe 101, so I don't fully know.
It's great. It's a great show.
It's a good one.
I think I watched pretty much all of it growing up.
Like I didn't know it was boarding school. So, so Saturday, Disneyland, Sunday, California Adventure, and then Monday, our flight left around 2 in the afternoon. So we had a couple hours in the morning. So we ended up going to Manhattan Beach.
Cool.
The girls wanted to go like to the ocean.
Yeah.
And found this really cute area that part was not super congested. And I feel like you would have loved it.
Yeah.
Like, the strips we talk about with like coffee shop, shopping, like cute restaurants. I was just
which specific area you were in? No. Okay. I know the area decently well. My friend Teddy lives in Manhattan Beach growing up. And then, Brian's brother lives in Manhattan Beach for a year or two. So
I honestly thought if I said Manhattan Beach, that would give you the location.
There's
more
Beach.
to it.
I know the area decently well.
It was you know where it was? The street where the aquarium is. So there's an aquarium there, and it's like a pier that you walk down. At the end is an aquarium.
Okay, cool.
If you walk up that street, it's like up a hill. That's where there's like really, Viore and Madewell. There's
I haven't been over there in a few years, so that probably is just Manhattan Beach.
Okay,
because right next to it there's like I think Hermosa Beach is right there, and Redondo Beach is somewhere. I don't know. I want to look at a map and like study the LA geography. But so you did a few hours in Manhattan Beach.
So that was and then we went back, and I will say it's been a hard couple of days.
Yeah.
Like, I had a little bit of a breakdown with Chad the other morning, and I was like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think there was just so much anticipation, and then being there and like having so much fun. I mean, literally, you're like on adrenaline highs. Yeah. You're loving life. Everybody's getting along. Like, there's just so much enjoyment. And then we get home, and I'm like, there's not really much I'm looking for. There's not like another trip coming up. We're kind of just back to the routine.
Yeah.
And, so the last few days for me have been a little bit like, wah, wah.
Are you planning things to look forward to?
Well, that's hard because I'm like, I would love to. I would love to be like, oh yeah, we can plan another trip. But financially, we're like, we don't have tons of money to just like go gallivanting whenever we want. Yeah. So we'd love to do something with the girls' spring break. Okay. That would be kind of the next thing. I think what I'm going to try to do, because you'd heard the story about my sauna fell off the deck.
Yeah.
So that got ruined. But I'm realizing like getting like warm heat is important. Totally. So I'm trying a spa tomorrow that has like just infrared sauna. Cool. I mean, they have other services, but I'm just going to try like the sauna. Just like, maybe make myself pretend like I'm hot and sweaty. I'll be fine.
When we were in LA this last time, we had a really hard time leaving too, because we were like, it's so great here. Like, and we have both said we could live in California pretty easily. We definitely love it there. We also love Washington, so our hearts are kind of torn between the two.
Yeah.
But leaving this last time was hard, especially because we're like, what you have to come back to in Washington for the next few months.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was the thing. We were like, oh, it's now February. Like isn't
that crazy that it's February 1st today?
February 1st.
So I feel like the fastest January on record.
Oh, really?
For me, it was.
Okay.
Was it not for you?
Well, I don't know. Januaries are always so long for us because there's multiple birthdays. It's Chad's birthday. It's Piper's birthday. We're getting back after break. And so it does always, people joke like, oh, it's the 45th day of January. I feel that. I do feel that. But
I think we've talked about this before, but I really this year like every year I like dread January, and it's my least favorite month of the year, whatever, January, February. This year I really tried to just embrace the slowness of January and like really enjoyed not having a whole lot of plans going on, and just like, try to just, every season has different pros and cons.
Totally.
And I think obviously the con of this winter is just the horrible weather in Washington, but the pro is that there's a lot more margin and just time to just, I don't know, sleep in. And
it's true.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. And I think I said that in the last podcast of like, let's just let January be a season of rest.
Yeah.
But then I also am like, okay, too much rest and I'm like bored, so.
Oh yeah.
Anyways.
Totally.
Okay.
Can we go back to Disneyland for a second?
Yes.
I have a lot more questions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So between the two parks, which day did you prefer?
Ooh, okay. I really love the rides at California Adventure.
Okay.
Like the Tower of Terror, what is it called?
Guardians.
Golly.
It is hard. A lot of the rides at California Adventure have changed names. So that one was Tower of Terror.
Yes.
the Incredicoaster was California Screamin'.
Yes.
Soaring over the World is Soaring over California. So they've definitely done a lot of rebrands of
that was rides. The first time we did that ride.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved
it. It's incredible.
The way that they make, there's like scent changes. Like we were like, what is happening? This is crazy. Amazing.
I love that ride.
Highly recommend that. Yeah, that was the first time we've done that one. I don't know, it's hard because the Disneyland part to me is there's just something so nostalgic about it. There were a couple things shut down that we didn't get to do, like the Haunted Mansion is just one of my favorites from childhood that was closed. They're doing a new ride, and I guess in replacement of Splash Mountain, is that right? The Tiana one or something. But I will say, so we get to Disney at like 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, and we're booking it. Like we get as many. We do the whole Genie Pass thing. Chad's like on it. I feel like we were running the first couple hours and hit so many rides. Almost by noon, we were kind of like, oh, are we still? Do you guys want to hang out some more? What do we do? So, and it was
that's
really
a good way to
warm.
do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at other people, and I'm like, I feel like we are like racing around this whole park, and other people are just like enjoying the thing. I heard one guy say, "We're here for 5 days. Let's take our time." I was like, "What?
That's a lot of Disney time.
We have 1 day, sir." Like I was just like, "Wow." So, I don't know. It's hard to say which I would prefer. I feel like I haven't fully taken advantage of all California Adventure stuff yet. Like I feel like I don't know that one very well.
Yeah.
But I'd probably go Disneyland Park for my favorite. Yeah. And the parade at night, or the fireworks and all that stuff. Yeah.
They're both great. They're both. It's cool too because they're constantly changing. Like each park is adding more lands and more rides, and
I will say, I noticed this year because after 1 year I was like, oh, okay, I can't do spinny rides. Like teacups are out.
Yeah.
This year it's the ones with the screens.
Yeah. Same. Anything where you're like wearing 3D goggles or there's like anything like that is not. I get so motion sick.
Oh my goodness.
We went to the Harry Potter land and Universal Studios.
I heard there's a lot of screens there.
Oh my goodness. There's one ride which is an amazing ride, but you're wearing glasses and it's really like jolty and stuff. And I was sick the rest of the day from that ride. It was a great ride, but I'm like, I can't do rides like that.
There was one a Star Wars one, like an older one, and I sat like this. I literally had my eyes closed the entire ride.
Did you do both of the new Star Wars rides?
Not both. We did one. So we did something about smugglers.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah. That one made me super motion sick.
Yep.
When I did that.
Yep. Sure did.
So I didn't have that. Some people just don't even have issues with that.
I was like, man, that's kind of a bummer because I feel like I'm limited now on like what I can do. We did. What was funny? We did the Spider-Man one, and we actually they broke down midway through
while you were on it,
and so we were like behind the scenes. Like it was so weird. They turned on the lights, and we're like walking through the studio. I was like, oh.
That happened to me in Space Mountain one time, which Space Mountain is
really
crazy
odd
because it's so dark in there.
I would have no clue.
It was cool. It was. I mean, it kind of not ruined it, but because when you're on the ride, it feels like you're in this huge thing. Yeah. And granted, it is pretty big, but when they turn the lights on, it feels pretty small.
Really?
That room feels like tiny.
Interesting.
Because everything is so close together and whatever, but it was cool to see kind of behind the scenes.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
It's like so fun.
Okay, so you prefer Disneyland.
I think I prefer Disneyland.
California
you have a list of questions.
I do.
I love this.
Okay, what's your favorite ride? And actually, preface to that, have you been to other Disney parks besides?
I actually haven't.
Okay.
I have not gone to Disney World. I haven't done anything international. But I did grow up. So growing up in California, there was like a boardwalk that had like roller coasters, and then there was Great America, which I think is maybe a Six Flags park or something. So I have done like different roller coasters. Yeah. I love a good roller coaster. It's hard because I love different rides for different reasons. Mm-hmm. Like I love the feeling of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like the music and the constant up and down.
Yeah.
Like we are giggling the entire time.
Yeah. And Allie liked it better this time?
She did great this time.
Cool.
Yeah. Piper, I felt like I was like holding her down because she would like fly out of her seat. I also really liked the Incredicoaster ride.
Yeah.
Part of it was because it was Allie's first time and she was like loving it. And then Space Mountain is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
As is You're like, pick one. As
you don't
you
have
love
to pick a
Indiana
favorite.
Great
ride.
I love the car. Yeah.
If I had to pick one at Disneyland, it'd probably be Space Mountain.
Okay.
One at California Adventure would probably be the Incredicoaster.
Yeah.
There's a ride in Disney World at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Called Expedition Everest.
Okay.
Which is like roller coaster themed, but it's kind of like inside, and it's a huge ride.
Okay.
That's my favorite of all time. It's a very cool ride. So if
Where's
you go
that
to
at?
an Animal Kingdom at Disney World,
okay,
amazing.
Okay.
So if you get a chance to go to Disney World, that ride is very cool. Yeah,
I do want to say thank you for your food recommendations for both parks.
Of course,
we literally that's what we went off.
Did you?
Yes,
I mean, everything still there? Like the thing?
Well, so I should clarify. We had yeah.
I don't expect you that you did everything.
Days were you guys there when you filmed that?
2.
What?
We did one day at Disney, one at California.
So you ate all of that in one day?
We would share things.
Okay.
So we'd like take a couple bites and then give it to the rest of our family.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of food.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So the girls are like, Allie loves the Dole Whip.
Yeah.
Piper loves the churros. So those were like little snacks. Like I said, we had 25 apples from the hotel that kept us filled up. We did lunch at the park both days, and then we did dinner off campus. But we did do the grilled cheese recommendation, and then the next day we did the tacos with birria. So
their birria is great.
So good.
Yeah. Now I just went. When did I go? Last February, I think. But I'm craving another.
I feel like, and to me, the fact that Disney lets you bring in your own snacks and water, I just am like, I don't know. I feel like it's great.
Okay, pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a trivia question for you. Do you know how many Disney parks there are?
Oh, no. I'm gonna say it's in the double digits.
It's in the double digits. Give me a guess.
17.
Okay, so there are 12 Disney parks,
okay,
but this doesn't include water parks because I know there are a few water parks.
How many water parks?
I don't have that information.
Probably 5. Probably 7.
If there's 5, that'd be great. Okay. So I'm gonna run through them real quick. Yep. So in California, there's California Adventure.
Yep. Check.
And there's Disneyland.
Check.
In Florida, there's 4 parks. There's Epcot, there's Animal Kingdom, there's Hollywood Studios, and there's what did I just do? And there's Magic Kingdom. Sorry.
Okay.
So there's like the Disneyland equivalent in Disney World.
So Universal Studios is connected to Disney?
Nope.
No, that's different. Okay.
Hollywood Studios is the Disney.
Hollywood Studios. Okay, got it.
Okay, so there's 4 in Florida. And then in Tokyo, there's Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea.
Are you guys going?
So there's 2 parks. We're going to go to Disney Sea in Tokyo, which I'm very excited for. So Disneyland is basically... There's some things that are different, but it's similar to Disneyland in California. Okay. So it's kind of a replica. Disney Sea is a park that's it's unique to Japan.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of like unique areas and stuff. So very excited to check that out.
That's going to be amazing.
So we're going to do a day there.
Okay.
So there's 2 in Tokyo. And then there's Disneyland Park in France.
Yeah.
And then there's Walt Disney Studios Park in France.
Oh.
And then there's Hong Kong Disneyland, which I have been to Hong Kong Disneyland. And then there's Shanghai Disneyland. That's it. So there's 12 parks. I want to go to all of them. That's a bucket list thing.
Love that.
Go to all the Disney parks.
Love that goal for you. So wait, how many have you been to?
I have been to the 2 in California, the 4 in Florida, and Hong Kong. So I've been
what's
to
your
7.
favorite?
You know what? Surprisingly, this is the one. So when I went to Disney World for the first time, I was like, I think we had 4 days, and we were considering going back to a park a second day.
Okay.
And we almost skipped Animal Kingdom. We didn't. We ended up going. Animal Kingdom is amazing.
Okay.
There's this safari ride, which you've been on a real safari.
I mean,
you might not be. It might not be the same for people that have been on a real safari, but
okay,
it feels like you're on a real safari.
Yeah.
Like it literally feels like you are in Africa.
Okay.
And it's
real
crazy.
Animals there.
Real animals.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how they did it, but it literally feels like you're in.
Very cool.
Yeah, Africa. Yeah, Animal Kingdom's probably my favorite. It's kind of underrated.
Yeah.
But then I love Epcot. I love the different country thing.
Okay. Okay.
Have you,
I don't know that.
So basically there's an around the world kind of vibe with Epcot. Yeah. So you can go to all these different countries and they're all decorated like you're in that country.
Oh.
You can try food and drinks from that country and it's really cool.
That sounds amazing.
So Epcot's great. I love the OG Disneyland as well.
Yeah.
So they're all great.
They really are. Amazing. They're clean.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
They really are.
I mean, yeah, you get the odd, and it's usually a tired toddler and the frustrated parent. And I'm like, I understand that.
When did you go to Disneyland for the first time?
I was a kid. I can't remember the exact first time. It might have been. So I remember there was one year where my mom and my grandma took me for New Year's Eve.
Okay.
That was my Christmas gift. Like, we're taking you to, so that could have been the first time.
Cool.
It's funny because we would also go to the other amusement parks nearby. And I was thinking when I was a kid, I don't know if I remember liking it as much as I like it now.
Yeah.
Like, it's
you almost
weird.
have a more appreciation for it as an adult. Yeah. Are you a Disney adult?
I don't know if I want to go that far, but I feel like, but you've maybe earned that title. Like, this is my third time. Like, okay. I just, as an adult, actually, that's not true. Chad and I went once when we were dating, and we had a friend who they had a connection where it wasn't the fast pass. It was, he would open the exit.
Oh, cool.
And it ruined lines for us. Like, we were like, oh my gosh, we will forever not be able to do this without this pass.
With the Genie Pass, did you end up having to wait in any long lines?
There was a few, and like the first night we went on a ride that we'd gone on with a Genie Pass earlier in the day, and then we were like, okay, we've got some time to kill before fireworks. Let's just get in this line. And it was like an hour and a half. Like, it was a long, and everybody was tired. So we were kind of like, well, and then you get on the roller coaster and you're like, this is so fun.
Great, yeah.
So
I feel like one thing that Disney does that other amusement parks doesn't do is they make the lines cool. Yes. Like, it's totally, especially like Indiana Jones. Yes. Like, you're in just like this magical cave 100% world thing. It's so cool.
The Guardians one, you're like going, they give like presentation. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So
okay, one more Disney question for you. If you were a Disney character, which one would you be?
Oh, I mean, Minnie Mouse, hands down.
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah. I think I actually dressed up as her once for a party. That's probably why it came to my mind. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Do you have one?
I should have thought about that.
I'm going Donald Duck. I don't know why.
Donald Duck?
I don't know why.
I feel offended.
Would you rather gone Goofy?
I guess I'm thinking more the broader Disney, like the Disney universe.
Who's
the first
that?
person that comes to mind is like Aladdin.
Oh.
I like the Aladdin's kind of, kind of sneaky and very, I don't know,
mischievous.
Yeah, just very, very smooth. It seems like which I'm not smooth, but I think I aspire to be Aladdin.
Okay, I totally went a different way. I was like Mickey Mouse.
You
Club,
were like the
100%
OG Disney.
OG.
Cool. Yes. Yeah, I guess if I go in that, I mean, probably Mickey if I'm going OG.
You're like Donald. I don't want to be Donald.
I don't want to quack.
I feel like he's got a rich uncle though, and
True.
That's
McScrooge or Mick something.
That's something. Yeah. DuckTales. Did you ever watch that? It's so good.
It's a great show. Did you watch Disney Channel as a kid?
Well, here's the thing. We didn't have cable growing up.
Okay.
So I didn't have that. I would sometimes see things at my friend's house. Very jealous. Yeah. Now it's crazy. Now we're like, everything's streaming. My kids can watch whatever they want. We're at a hotel with commercials and they're like, well, I want to watch this show. I'm like, well, your option is what's on right now. And they're like, I don't like it.
Instant gratification. It's ruined everybody.
Raising monsters. That's what I say.
Yeah. Growing up, my mom's cousin worked for Disney. So she could get us into the parks for free, which is amazing.
That's so great.
We would use airline miles to get to California. And then, so pretty much we just had a hotel. And we would always stay at kind of whatever the cheapest hotel was. Yeah. So it was a very cheap trip to go down there.
That's amazing.
So we'd go all the time. We'd probably go once a year growing up. And I just have very special place in my heart for Disneyland.
Yeah.
So I could ask a million more questions. Should this just be the Disney episode?
That's all we do. That's all we talk about. I want to hear about your weekend. So I feel like I've missed a few.
Yeah, it's been very chill. Like I am a very, as you know, I'm a very like time block person. I'm a big planner.
As we know.
I've gone into the last couple weekends with very few plans.
Okay.
This last weekend there were a lot of plans ended up kind of materializing last minute, which was great. So Friday night I did dinner with my friend Brandon. Hadn't seen him in a couple months, so we got caught up, and he just went to India, so we talked about his India trip. Which sounded cool.
Did you guys go someplace fun for dinner?
Went to Elemental Pizza, which is in U Village.
Yes.
Seattle,
okay. I was like, I feel like I've seen that.
That's Brian and I went there for our very first date, so that's kind of a
special.
That was Friday night, and then after that we went to a game night. So with one friend group, we played Secret Hitler. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
It's kind of like we've talked about these games, like a lying, deception.
Yes, deception.
Kind of game. Yeah. that was Friday night. And then Saturday we did wine tasting and lunch with Brian's parents.
Fun.
That was it was both of their birthdays a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So that was our gift to them, was taking them to lunch.
I love it.
Wine tasting.
Where'd you go wine tasting?
We went to Patterson. Have you done Patterson before?
Yeah. Cool. I haven't been to Patterson, but I know their wine. Yeah.
Brian belongs to Patterson. That's like one. I think he has.
I remember that.
2 wine clubs he's part of. That's one of them. Okay. So we got free tasting and stuff, and then we picked up this shipment of wine and stuff. For me, I am a big fan of wine tasting as an activity.
Yes.
I'm not a wine connoisseur by any measure. I really don't even. I'll drink the wine. I'll try to taste the differences. Yeah. But I'm not. I don't choose wine very often. Unless I'm wine tasting.
Right. I love wine tasting, especially here in Woodinville. I feel like when we've gone, the tastings themselves aren't incredibly expensive. Right. So you can do a few different places, and every place you go is beautiful. Like I feel like I get to sit in this like gorgeous setting with, I haven't paid a ton of money, but I'm getting to try different things. And like, I don't know. I love that. Yeah. I think it's a really fun experience.
I love it. It's a great summertime activity too in Washington.
This last summer we did the concert at the park. I think
Shout to St. Michelle. Yeah. My parents got us that for Christmas this year.
Cool.
Concert at Shout to St. Michelle. I'm not sure the artist is. It's a country artist. I don't know him super well. But
you're going to love it.
Just going and experiencing it is going to be amazing. So we did wine tasting and lunch. We did lunch at Purple. Have you been to Purple?
Yes. Okay.
Great
we love
food.
that. Yeah.
And then went from there to back home, watch Stevie, and then we had another game night on Saturday night.
Okay.
So
love it.
Different friend group did a game night. It was kind of a housewarming party / game night.
Fun.
So our friend Ryan and Hannah made us all dinner. They made like this delicious like beef dish, and they made these these desserts. They were like this chocolate lava cake kind of thing. Everything was delicious.
Who are these people?
Awesome. If we ever hosted our house, we're always like doing a potluck or we're ordering pizza or ordering food.
We can grill.
The thought of preparing food for like 8 to 10 people for some reason feels super overwhelming.
Yeah.
So we've never done that. But maybe we should.
I love that.
Yeah, it was great. So that was Saturday. Between Friday and Saturday, we did like 2 game nights, a dinner, another lunch and wine tasting. So it ended up being really busy, which we went at the weekend thinking nothing was happening. It was awesome.
I love it.
Great. Just about like seeing all of our different people and groups. And then Sunday was just like a perfect kind of recovery prep day. We woke up, we slept in, went to the gym, got groceries, went and walked to get coffee.
It's the best kind of day.
Walked Stevie.
How's laundry. Stevie doing?
Stevie doing so much better.
Feeling good. Okay.
Feeling much better. Yeah.
Good. Back to eating normal, drinking everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been,
love it.
Yeah. That was a stressful couple weeks, but doing much better. We need to get the dogs together soon.
Yes. Yeah.
That was kind of the last couple weekends. It's just a lot of good friend and family time, and then also just like chill time. And been great.
So the last time we chatted, I feel like there was a little bit more of a like, I don't want to say heaviness, but you were kind of just expressing that you were like good, not great.
Yeah.
In that season. Are you feeling like
I'm feeling good now? Yeah.
Feeling.
Yeah. I think there was a period of a couple weeks where there were like a lot of good things that had happened and then a lot of like negative things that had happened. And it was this weird like dichotomy that isn't super familiar to me. And that's just, speaks to how blessed of a life I've had, is that I haven't had a lot of death or super negative stuff happen in my life. Just kind of processing that was interesting. But the last couple weeks have felt a lot more kind of stable and normal. But even like Isaac's, their dog just died. I don't know hear about that. So a lot of weird like this, and then a lot of weird just deaths in the last month. But I don't know. I don't want to talk about death right now, but
okay. Well, I will say, like, I'm noticing, like, for myself, there's times where it's like there'll be some days or weeks where I'll have, really good energy. Like I remember telling Chad last week, I was like, I just feel like I had such a great day and nothing special happened. Like I did a little like workout in the morning, and I was, working on this Bible study I'm doing, and I went and had maybe coffee with a friend. Like it wasn't anything like major. It's like just a normal day, but I felt like mentally and emotionally like really, really good. And that like stood out to me. And then I also have like the opposite
It's crazy how you can have a day where you do those exact same activities, but you just feel super different about it.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either, and I don't love it. And I also know, like, it's not possible to live up here where you're like, everything is great all the time. And I'm very similar with you where I'm like, on paper, all the things we have in our life is good. And like, I shouldn't be like, whatever, but you just kind of, I don't know. I personally just get in like a head funk where I'm like, I don't like it.
I think a lot. I wonder what percentage of the population get that way.
I imagine it's a lot.
It's probably a lot.
Because it's not possible to be always here.
Yeah.
But it's like, I would love to have something that's like, I don't know, either a warning, like, okay, you're going to have a day.
Yeah.
Because I tend to like kind of, I don't know. I tend to like want to avoid that.
Totally.
And then that's also not great because then I'm like, I'm actually sad right now and I'm just ignoring that. And then I get cranky.
I think for me, I've found that just like, and this is my word of the year, is being present. I feel like that is a huge difference maker for me on whether, like, how I feel. Like literally yesterday I was on a walk with Stevie and I was on a call at the same time, and I wasn't really participating. I was more just listening to the call, and I was walking. I was probably halfway into my walk, and I was just looking down the whole time and just kind of like going through the motions. Like, you know, I gotta go walk Stevie. I gotta get my steps in.
Right.
And then I don't know why, but at some point I like looked up and I like looked at my surroundings and I was just like in this, you know, there's a beautiful trail near our house.
Yes.
And I texted Brian the other day. I'm like, we are so lucky to live right next to this trail. Like, it's incredible. And in that moment, I wasn't even like paying attention. So I like looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why am I going through the motions right now? Like, I should just be like, like
going through the motions.
Beautiful. Like, just being present and just like appreciating the little things around us, I think can help alleviate some of that funk feeling.
100%. And actually that was something like, okay, granted we were in Disneyland, it was 75 degrees, perfect. But I will say one of the things that I really loved was our family was not on any devices. Like, it's kind of rare for us to be like all together, all doing one activity for an extended amount of time. Like, you know, we'll go and do things together, but it's like, then we get back home and people separate, and like, I'll watch a show with Allie and Pipes will go on her iPad and Chad's on the phone, you know? And so to have all this time together where none of us were on screens, like when you're going to Disney, you're not like looking at your phone, you're not scrolling.
Right.
And so that was such a gift. So I do feel like there's something to be said about being present. And I think I worry about going through the motions because to me, that's like mundane and repetitive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm be so bored.
Yeah.
And that like creates heaviness for me.
Yeah. That's a big thing. It's been like over my whole working career, something that I don't even know where I heard it, but it's just the term like enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times because I'm, you know, my calendar is very booked, like I have a lot of recurring events in my calendar.
Sure.
Like I can literally look 2 years from now and I can see like when because my whole routine is booked up as recurring events, like my morning routine, my workouts, and I do adjust it, but everything is set up as a recurring event.
Got it.
For the most part. So, and I can delete things if I go on a trip, I can remove stuff or whatever, but I can look 2 years into the future and see like, this is the tentative plan for this week.
Let's test it.
And I mean, it's
April 7th, 2026.
2026. Let's do it. 2025. April what?
6th.
April 6th is April 6th is a Monday.
Yeah.
So wake up at 5, drive to the gym, do yoga, get ready, drive to the office, get to the office around 8:15, do our team huddle, do our podcast at 9:30 on April 6th.
I pray that's
April 6th, 2026.
Reality.
Edit and post the podcast, and then I have a bunch of free time in there, then drive home, watch TV, do dinner with Brian.
That's amazing. You have that all on there.
Yeah, because it's all like everything is a recurring event.
Got it.
And I do adjust that often. So if I like make a change in my routine or something, like I can change the future recurring events.
Yeah.
But all that to say, sometimes when I look at that, I'll look at, you know, next week and the next week and the next week. I'm like, oh my gosh, so much repetition, so much just like, it feels like I'm going through the motions or it feels mundane. But then if I just remember, like, I'm not, yes, having something to look forward to is great. And that is something that I feel like is important to me and something that I need in my life is always having something to look forward to. But you can't just live for that either. Like you
100%.
have to enjoy the time between now and then.
Yes.
And really just enjoying the journey and finding the little joys and happiness within our daily lives.
Yeah.
And if that's not how it is, like if people aren't in a place in life where they're enjoying their daily life, like figuring out things that they can introduce or remove to figure out ways to create little bit more bits of joy throughout our days.
I agree so much. And I feel like one of the things I find that kind of brings me out of that funk is when I can connect with people.
Yeah.
Like if I'm isolated, if I'm alone,
Totally.
it is 100 times worse. And yesterday I'll be totally honest. I woke up yesterday morning. Chad and I were both up pretty early. Like he was up before 5. I was up around 5. And I had a little mentee bee, a little mental breakdown on the couch, crying like
mentee bee.
And then the day happened, and in the afternoon.
Was Chad with you?
Yes. Okay. He's super supportive. He's like, I don't really have any answers for you, but I hear you and I'm sorry. This is how you feel.
Yeah.
Which was great. That's all I needed. And then as the day was going, I was like, okay, there's going to be a moment where I take Piper to dance and I'm going to have this 1 hour where I am kid free. And I quickly text 2 of my girlfriends, like, any chance anybody can meet up real quick for, a beverage near Piper's dance class. And the 3 of us met up and like, I mean, not even together for an hour.
Yeah.
And my cup was so full after that. It was like, I don't know there is something about being with people who I feel so safe with and who I can just like, I don't know. I didn't even talk that much. Like one of my girlfriends was just kind of updating us on her life. And that was still like just fulfilling.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's finding those, like I need to just remember like, okay, what is it that helps me be, I don't know, be a little bit more intentional and not so, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that is hard to remember is to initiate those things.
Yes.
Like if you're in a funk, just reminding yourself, oh, I should do this thing to help me snap out of it.
Totally.
Like a lot of times that doesn't even cross my mind. I'm like, I'm just going to remain in this.
Because what my brain does is like, you should probably sleep. You should probably sit on the couch and do nothing and like just go to bed.
Yeah. Because a lot of times those things that do help bring us out of the funk do require effort. They require you to reach out to somebody.
Move your body.
And especially if you're feeling like, ugh. And I guess for me personally, if I'm feeling, because I agree, if I'm, when I spend time with friends or family or just somebody that I'm close with, I always feel better afterwards. But that does require, as somebody who's kind of right in the middle introvert extrovert spectrum, that does require some effort from me. Where a lot of times I'm like, I'd kind of rather just stay home and just scroll through social media, and that's just like the easy button. But making that effort and to reach out to somebody, to try to schedule something is hard. But then once I do it, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did that.
I know.
Same thing with going on a walk. Like if I'm in a tech-free walk, I'm trying to do more of those where I'm just like, don't even.
Because I do want to go back to this idea of you being present. Because now we're, a month into the year. Yep. So like aside from cool pants, by the way.
Thank you.
Are these new?
These are Lululemon ABC.
They would be.
They're great. I decided to not wear jeans anymore. For the most part, I don't really like wearing jeans. I'm never comfortable in them. I've never found jeans that I like how they fit. So I'm just going all in on the Lululemon
2024,
pants.
Really making some strides here.
Yeah.
Okay. Chad's going to love those. So just you're looking up in walks.
Yeah.
How else, like, how do you implement being present? What is that looking like?
It's a lot of reminders to myself that I need to be present.
You're like, honestly, pay attention.
Yeah, it's I have my whole morning routine that's very structured. Part of that is reviewing like a note on my phone that has goals for the year, and it has right at the very top word of the year, present, and then right underneath that it says I'm happiest when I'm present. Like just a reminder to myself to be present. It's not an easy solution.
Is like the biggest thing the technology, so making sure you're technology free on your walk. If you're at dinner with Brian, your phone's away. Like, is it
the way that my brain works? Is I'm always thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
Like, what's the next thing on my calendar? Right. What's the next thing I have to do? What's the next task on my checklist?
Right.
So getting out of that state is what I need to do to be present, which is hard for me.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I haven't found like an easy solution, but it's, I think just by reminding myself of it daily and seeing it as part of my morning routine. And even like that doesn't always work, right? Because I'm going through my morning routine, I'm checking the things off my checklist. A lot of times it's one of those things is review this note, review my goals.
Okay.
And a lot of times I am just going through the motions. Like I'm reading it, but I'm actually like internalizing what it's saying. A lot of the times not.
Right.
So yeah. And I think another thing that's helped is having a walk on my schedule every day with CV, and
it's crazy how good that is for us.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so a month ago I had in my calendar during that walk, I had stuff I was going to do on my phone. It's like, I can be productive during a walk. I can catch up on emails, or
I am really impressed you can walk and do stuff on your phone. Like, I feel like that'd be so challenging for me.
So I can do that, but I found I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I should just enjoy the walk.
And physically dangerous.
I've never had a let's knock on wood.
You've never tripped. You've never. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure I've tripped in my life, but
never one.
Yeah. So that I'm trying. I literally a couple days ago, I basically had the walk time was my time to like be on social media, like posting on social media or engaging on social, that kind of stuff.
Got it.
And I liked combining them because I'm like, oh, I can kill two birds with one stone. I can get this done while I'm doing my walk. Great. What I've realized is that's not good. And when I'm on a walk, I should just be on a walk. I should just be breathing, maybe listen to a podcast like that. That is something I still do enjoy doing. But with that, I can just like take in my surroundings rather than looking at my phone, which I'm doing the rest of the day anyway.
Right.
So
I imagine that concept of not thinking about what's next or the next, that is like retraining your brain.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with our phones, that is like the culture we are all in. It's like this automatic, like, I mean, my kids at a hotel not understanding commercials, like we have that instant gratification. We have something that's coming up next. Like we're constantly like scrolling and getting that, dopamine hit of something new. Like, so I just feel like to really be purposeful of like, nope, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to like breathe in this moment is like so good for your brain.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is related to my February challenge.
Oh,
so it's a new month, new challenge.
I forgot.
Yes. Okay. So my challenge is actually inspired by Chad, your husband.
Okay.
He spoke at one of our meetings recently.
Yeah.
And he shared, he calls it like his 3-2-1 rule, I think.
Yes.
So for evening time, he said he tries to not eat 3 hours before bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to not drink any liquids 2 hours before bedtime. He does no screen time 1 hour before bedtime. Right. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. So I am doing a modified version of that.
Okay.
I'm not going to that extreme necessarily,
right.
but
Who does?
For me the liquid one's hard. Like I don't know how I would not drink any liquids 2 hours before bed.
I drink a lot of water right before bed. I don't know what it is.
I get thirsty before bed.
Yeah.
And so I'm not doing that one.
Okay.
So I'm doing the food and the screen time.
Yeah.
Basically I'm doing 2 hours before bed. I'm gonna stop eating.
Okay.
So if I'm going to bed at 10, I won't eat anything after 8 p.m.
Perfect.
Kind of intermittent fasting, kind of not.
Yeah.
And then screen time will be an hour before bed. So 0 screen time. I'll plug in my phone. I'll turn off the TV. All electronics will be done with an hour before I go to bed.
Okay.
So I'm doing the modified Chad.
So wait, are there
2-1 instead of 3-2-1?
2-1. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Gonna master my evenings a little bit. And create some better evening habits.
Do you have some good books that you're?
I do. I've been reading a lot of books. Not a lot, but I finished Demon Copperhead, which is great.
Right.
Did I tell you about that one?
You were saying, because this is one of the first fiction ones you've read in a really long time.
It was heavy. It was about a child in honestly, these last 2 books I've read have both been very heavy. So
that's kind of all I read.
Yeah.
Is like these depressing, like this person's child was kidnapped and this one's husband cheated. And
so that one it's a fiction book, but it's about a child that grew up with an abusive parents, and then he ended up going into foster care system. Just had a horrible childhood, worst childhood you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's basically what the book's about. Is this kid from birth through basically adulthood and what that looks like. Crazy book. Really great. It was won Pulitzer Prize, Oprah's book club. Very eye-opening to what people go through.
Yeah.
That was a fiction book. Now I'm reading a book called A Place Called Home.
Okay.
Have you heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
It's I've heard, so it's like the Tacoma Book of the Year right now. The mayor released her book of the year, I think. So this is that, and then my mom actually gave it to me for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's basically the real life nonfiction version of that other fiction book that I was just talking about. So very similar. very similar story. This kid.
That's cool that you're reading them back to back like that. Yeah.
It's cool, but it's also very depressing.
Oh yeah.
This kid, his name is David Ambrose. He's a real life person.
Okay.
And this is a memoir of his childhood.
Is the first book based off of him, or just similar? You're saying just kind of
they're both about kids in the foster care system with really rough childhoods.
Yeah.
It is absolutely mind blowing the things that. Because the first book was a fiction book, so I'm like, yes, these are probably real things that happen to real people,
dramatized. You're like,
the real things that happened to this person are absolutely insane, and horrifying and just horrible. Right. So if you're looking for a depressing book, it's also very eye opening and like, wow. Yeah. I would definitely recommend.
Is he a local here, or was the book just recommended by our mayor?
It was, I don't think he lives in Washington. He grew up in New York. I'm not sure where he lives now, but it's crazy. It's, abusive mom. Finally, he got away from his mom, but he would like have to, I don't even know. I don't even want to share details because they're just like, so everything you can imagine that is bad that would happen to a child happened to this kid.
Yeah.
And it definitely just, I don't know, makes me feel grateful for the child that I had.
Yeah.
And it also just like people that you see, you never know what somebody's going through, whether somebody's homeless on the street or like a lot of our foster care system is messed up.
Yeah.
And a lot of foster kids because as soon as you turn 18, and I'm not sure if it's still this way, there might have been some laws that have passed, but when David Ambrose is growing up, as soon as you turn 18, all support stops completely. Right. And you basically go from kind of being supported by your foster parents to having zero financial support, and you're just kind of left out on your own.
Yeah.
And there's a huge percentage of foster kids that end up homeless because there's nothing they have everything against them.
Yeah.
And so it's been very eye opening.
Yeah.
And I'd recommend it if you're open to a sad story.
Sounds like a great one.
Very heavy.
I feel like, so for me, I love reading fiction in bed before, that last hour, whatever. Yeah. I tend to read like thrillers and mysteries, and then sometimes I'm like wired because I'm like, what's gonna happen? Yeah. Is it so like, and I also need to find books where I'm like looking forward to it. Yeah. Like I'm excited to know. When you're reading this book, are you like, oh, I'm excited to hear what trauma I
kind of am. And it's kind of, I almost feel guilty about that, but
maybe it's more like
it is a page turner. It's like wow, like can it really get worse? Like can it really like and
you're looking for maybe like where's the light coming through? Like where's the positive gonna happen? Yeah.
And this book is finally getting to a point where you're like, okay, there's some good things that are finally happening.
Yeah.
Same book, the other book, same thing. It's like finally you get to a certain age, but kids that are going through this stuff, like until they turn like 14, 15 years old, they're kind of just like they have zero power at all. And not that 14, 15 is that threshold, but
like, I was like
for both of these stories, I think probably closer to, I don't know, maybe 16, 17, they're like able to, they're like, okay, I'm done with this crap. I'm gonna speak up. I'm gonna like get out of this situation. Yeah. But so many times it's like they're completely stuck. Like this, I'm gonna share one little story from this book, and I'm gonna butcher it, but whatever. So he literally was abused by his mom. He goes and tells somebody at his school. His school has like some sort of corrections officer in there, and he had just been like beaten by his mom. He tells this police or enforcement person at his school, hey, this is happening to me. Like I've never spoken up, but it's gotten so bad. I think my mom's gonna kill me. Like I need your help.
Yeah.
What happens after that? A week later, not immediately, a week later, somebody shows up at their house and interviews him, the child, in front of the mom, asking, David, does your mom beat you? Does your mom abuse you? While his mom is right there in the room with him.
Oh.
And then he says, no, that doesn't happen. Because of course he's not gonna sit in front of his mom, because it's just gonna get worse. And then they say, oh, that's not what you told the correction officer. And they literally say that in front of the mom. It's like absolutely wild. Okay, so that happens. And then
I don't understand it. I don't understand because I have heard those stories and I've seen documentaries where it's like, these foster parents were so awful to these kids. Yeah. And you're like, how does this happen? Like, how is our system so broken where it's like, that's who you hired to go interview in these situations? Like, it blows my mind.
So that happens.
Yeah.
And then later on, his mom pushes him down the stairs and then beats him up. And he stumbles, he finds his way into a courthouse, and there's a judge and a bailiff there or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, again, this has just happened. And between the previous time and that time, a bunch of time passed. But he's like, I spoke up and literally nothing happened.
Right.
So I'm not speaking up again. So it happens again where he's like within inches of death because he's beaten and abused so horribly. He goes to the place and they're like, okay, we're going to take this seriously or whatever. But then they send him back to, there's like, we don't really have anywhere for you to go. So you're going to have to go back to your mom's house tonight. And then basically the same thing happens again. Like they come and interview him again in front of his mom. And that time he's like, yes, like she's been abusing me.
And like physically, he's got to have bruises and marks on him that are like,
And he's like, and there's so many other things. But that was the thing that spoke to me the loudest, was just like crazy that his whole life he didn't speak up because he was afraid to speak up. Right. He does speak up and then nothing happens. Yeah. And it's just like heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Yeah. So anyway, should we try to end this on a different note than that?
Ooh, let's twist this too.
Yeah.
That was all I had to talk about.
I would love to hear any of your book recommendations. If you want to send me any book that you recommend, because after this one, I'm going to need a little bit lighter book.
But see, so here's the thing. I am reading, like, mine are like thrillers. Like this is like, I've actually read quite a few. I think I've read 3 or 4 in the last month.
Cool.
Whether it's audio or print.
Nice.
What I've been doing is I will read print in bed, and then if I'm on a walk or if I'm using my walking pad, I'll listen to the audio. Cool. And so I'm kind of like, what am I trying to say? Like, digesting it, taking it in different ways.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. It helps me get through it quicker.
So do you have multiple books you're reading at the same time?
No, but I'm like, it'll just be like the audio version and the print
one.
one.
Of the same one?
Of the same book.
Oh,
yes.
Gotcha.
Sorry, that's what I was saying. Cool. So like I'm reading the one in bed, and then if I go on a walk, I pick up on chapter 13 and walk and, do that.
That's cool.
So yeah, there's an author, Alice Feeney.
Okay.
I saw somebody posted something about one of her books, and I've been like on her kick right now. So there's one called Rock, Paper, Scissors, His and Hers. I'll send them to you, but she's an author who I'm really enjoying her style.
Cool.
She kind of bounces between like characters, sometimes timelines, and there's usually always some sort of twist that you don't see coming. So that's fun for me.
I'll check them out.
Yeah.
Okay, last question for you.
Yeah.
Are you watching any shows right now?
Yeah. Not really. Okay, yes. The second season of Traitors. Okay. Oh, yes. I binged the second season of Love on the Spectrum. Oh, have you watched this?
Yeah. It's the autism spectrum, right? That's what the
yes. Okay. It is. It's hands down one of my favorite shows of all time. Okay. It is the most endearing thing you'll watch. And then I found them on Instagram. I follow them all. So my girls and I, a couple weeks ago, that came out, and we like binged the whole season. That's it's pretty quick. It's like maybe 8 episodes, and they're not super long. Okay. So that one, and then the second season of Traitors came out. Okay. I've been watching that.
Brian's watching Traitors too.
I kind of love it. Yeah. I feel like we could all go on that. Actually, that would be so fun. Other than that, not really.
Have you ever watched This Is Us?
No, because I'll tell you why. This is a true confession. Somebody once said, I cry at every episode. And I was like, no, thank you. Yeah. I don't want to sign up to cry every time I watch a show. That's my Enneagram 7 avoiding grief.
Okay, I was told the same thing, that I would cry every episode. Yeah. I like this last night's episode, I was crying.
Yeah.
See, I was by myself at home watching the episode.
You and
Stevie. And she's next to me on the couch, and I like literally am audibly crying. Yeah. And she looks up at me like, what is wrong with you?
Audibly crying.
Seriously, there's a scene in the episode where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. Yeah. Or happy. Like it is a very emotional show. I've probably cried in, I don't know, every 5 episodes I'll cry a bit.
I can cry pretty easily.
I can too.
That's why I'm like, I don't want to like do that.
It's a good show. It is good. It's been one of those that's been on the list for a while. I'm like, if I ever need a show, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix now. So
okay.
I'll give it a shot.
So that's what you're into.
I'm into it. Yeah.
Did we finish Survivor? Did we finish all those other shows?
Yeah, that's something I'm actually working on right now, is tying up loose ends. I had some books that I had started. Yeah. And the way my brain works, I have a hard time starting something and not finishing it.
Correct.
So I've had books, I've had podcasts, I've had audiobooks, I've had shows, that all of these things that I'm like, I've started and I haven't finished. So before I start any new books or anything, or a podcast or audiobooks or shows, I'm finishing the ones that I've started. Got it. Or I'm making the conscious decision that I'm done watching the show.
Yeah.
If it's one that's just not.
Quits.
Yeah, call it quits. So we just finished Play-tonic last night. Have you heard of that one?
No.
It's, oh my gosh, I'm totally spacing the names. Let me look them up real quick.
I also did start the new True Detective.
Oh, okay.
On HBO. Have you watched that?
No.
Okay. It's pretty intense.
Truly Detective. Is that reality?
No,
it's a TV show.
Drama, okay. And it's set out in like Nebraska, or not Nebraska, Alaska. Different place.
Alaska, Nebraska.
Similar sounds, different place.
America.
That one, I thought you guys would be into that because I feel like new series on HBO you guys usually watch.
Don't tell me any new shows right now, actually.
Okay. No, we're tying up loose ends. We're not starting new things.
Why can I not find the cast of the show? Hold on. Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen are the main two.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. It's about two friends. I
did hear about this.
They it's honestly a little bit of a cringy show to watch. Like there's a lot of scenes you're like, oh my gosh, is this really happening right now? Yeah. But it's cute.
What'd you call it?
Play-tonic.
Play-tonic.
Like they're platonic friends.
Is that how you say that word?
Platonic.
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 I feel like you're adding a Y in there.
Play-tonic. I'm gonna look it up. Okay, let's end this.
Platonic. Play-tonic. To all of our viewers.
Platonic.
You're right.
Okay.
Wow, I really thought it was platonic. Platonic.
It should be.
Should that be the name of this episode? Platonic.
Yeah. Well, Play-tonic.
Or Disney adults.
Play-tonic.
Gin and tonics for our 21st.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm in.
Thanks, Jamie.
Hey, that was
great. It's been a pleasure.
It's been so fun.